All right, this is going to be sort of an odd video for me in that it will have essentially no video content, just the dulcet tones of my voice and this apparently AI generated copyright free image that's going to be serving as a backdrop in case you have to have something to look at. This is regarding my wish to spread information around. And I recently attended a live performance of the classic musical Little Shop of Horrors, which is actually one of my favorites, and I also enjoy the movie that was made around 1986-ish. Pretty much my favorite song from the musical, which was not included in the movie, by the way, is the song Mushnik and Son. And just to give you some familiarity with that, if you don't already know, Mushnik is Mr. Mushnik, and he's the proprietor of a florist shop on Skid Row in some unnamed city, which is probably New York. Seymour is the young lad he has working for him, and Seymour's girlfriend is Audrey, and Seymour finds a sort of a special, strange, and interesting plant, which turns out to be carnivorous, and he names it Audrey 2 after his girlfriend. But she already has a boyfriend in the form of Orin Scrivillo, DDS, a sadistic dentist. So there's your basic cast. Seymour goes to visit Orin Scrivillo, and Scrivillo says, you know, that strange and interesting plant you've got is a real moneymaker. If you leave that dead-end job you're in with Mushnik and take Audrey 2 out on the road, you could make a bundle of money. And Seymour tells Mushnik about that, even though he's not intending to do it. And Mushnik gets worried, and this song, Mushnik and Son, follows, where Mushnik is trying to convince Seymour to stay with the business by offering him a father and son type partnership. So with that backstory, the thing I find interesting about the lyrics, which are all by Howard Ashman, by the way, the lyrics in the musical, they're all very clever. And in addition to the excellent music, Ashman's lyrics, amongst other things, gets humor from using the device of the presumably uneducated denizens of Skid Row saying and singing things that seem like it's way above their pay grade, things that they probably wouldn't know about, but yet it's all through the words that come out of their mouths. You know, for one example, at one point, the three urchins, the Greek chorus of the musical, are singing about the Sturm und Drang, or the Sturm und Drang, but they would say Sturm und Drang. You know, they would probably never have heard of that, but yet it's part of their everyday speech. So that type of thing goes throughout, and that is funny. I think that the song Mushnik and Sons has several funny lyrics originally, which have dropped out of it. Number one, the song wasn't used at all in the movie, and then in all recent stage performances that I'm aware of, the lyrics are greatly changed, and I think they've basically redacted the cleverest lyrics. They all are things which, when this story is supposed to take place, and when the musical first came out, there are things that probably many to most people in an audience would know about, but today almost nobody knows about these things. So I think it's really unfortunate that we have a dumbed down version of the lyrics in any production that's done anymore. But for people who encounter the original lyrics, I'm going to explain why I think they're funny and what they mean. I don't want to get a copyright hit or hits, so I'm not going to include the actual song, but here is the name of a video that includes the original 1982 Broadway cast. It has the original lyrics, and there's also the link here to that YouTube video, so you could pause and go and listen to that, refamiliarize yourself with the lyrics and the way it's presented, and then come back to this video. So here's the first part where the lyrics get interesting. There are more lyrics before this, but Mushnik says, "Seymour, I want to be your dad. I'll gladly treat you like my blood and my own flesh." And Seymour says, "Like Ozzie, Nelson, Dave, and Rick?" To which Mushnik replies, "Like honey fits and take your pick." "Then kiss me quick, I'll be your son." Mushnik replies, "Don't make me sick, just be my son." So let's look into this part. There was a radio program which turned into a TV series called The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. It was quite popular, and probably most people at the time would have been familiar with it if they had a TV or a radio. It featured the real-life family of Ozzie Nelson, who was a band leader, and his singer wife, Harriet, and their two sons, Dave and Rick, or Ricky. So this is clearly a reference to a famous father and sons situation that people would have been aware of. Now, there are two sons there, and this factors in a couple more lines down in the lyrics. The second part about Honey Fitz is John Francis Fitzgerald, known as Honey Fitz, due to his smooth way of talking, was a mayor of Boston and also a member of the United States House of Representatives. He also happened to be the maternal grandfather of President John F. Kennedy, the F for Fitzgerald, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, and Senator Ted Kennedy. He also had 4 sons of his own. So this refers to having multiple excellent choices when it comes to enlisting a son to bring into the father's business. And that, again, factors back to there's 2 sons in the case of Ozzie Nelson, and 4 sons in the case of Honey Fitz. So that's why these lyrics make sense if you know those things. A little further on in the song, we get into this passage. Mushnik and Son sounds great, 3 words with the ring of fate. So say you'll incorporate with me. A florist's dream come true. Mushnik and his boy chick, you. What business will do for FTD? Now, FTD is still a going business, so people are familiar with it, but it probably isn't as well known as it was back when these lyrics were written. FTD was originally Florist's Telegraph Delivery, where a person wanting to send flowers pretty much anywhere in the world, but certainly within the U.S., could go to any local florist and order up the kind of flowers or floral arrangement they wanted to send, and it would be sent by telegraph to another florist that would be closest to where the flowers were needed. And that same day, that receiving florist would set up the amount of flowers, of floral arrangements or whatever, and make it available, or even deliver it to, a church, a funeral, whatever, party, any number of things. And they didn't collect money. The sending floral service would collect the money. So eventually it became a worldwide service, so now it is renamed to Florists Transworld Delivery, but that's the reference to that in case it went over anybody's head. Continuing on, the lyrics get cleverer. Like Andy Hardy and the Judge, like Zeus and Mercury, like Duma, Fis, and Per, which is pronounced Duma, Fis, and Per, even though it looks like Dumas, Fils, and Per, or P-E-R-E. In trouble, sickness, and in health, we'll share the plant and share the wealth. I'll call my lawyer, call me son. Mushnik and Son, etc. It repeats, and there's more of a chorus. So this is a set of father and son relationships. There used to be a whole series of films or movies which are called the Andy Hardy series. They were produced between sometime in the 1930s and up until nearly 1960, and they follow the misadventures of a teenager named Andy Hardy. And he goes through these misadventures with the guidance of his wise, honorable father, Judge James Hardy. So that's where Andy Hardy and the Judge comes from. For the next part, going back to Greek mythology, Hermes was the swift messenger of the gods, and also he was the son of the main god Zeus. When this bit of mythology was translated to Roman mythology from the Greek, Hermes was renamed Mercury, so hence you have a father and son duo of Zeus and Mercury. The last part's probably the one that would stick in most people's craw. In French, there's a phrase, père et fils, which looks like it's père et fils, but it's père et fils. And this translates literally to father and son. The phrase is most commonly used in business to indicate a multi-generational management of a company. And you'll see it on everything from wine bottles to, manufactories of various sorts. The phrase as it's used in the musical, with the name Dumas before it, which is spelled Dumas, but is pronounced Dumas. There were two famous French authors, both of them named Alexander Dumas. Dumas the Senior wrote The Three Musketeers, The Count of Monte Cristo, and a bunch of other very well-known things, but his son also was a well-known author. I think he was a playwright and some other things as well. But anyway, they were both very famous, and it was common to refer to the two of them as Dumas, fils, and père. So that is a literal and direct copy of the French phrase, and here used to refer to the father and son pair of Alexander Dumas Sr. and Alexander Dumas Jr. So ties in nicely to the lyrics. But again, it's funnier once you know what it is and realize that the characters singing these lines or saying them would probably have never heard of this stuff, and it's just funny coming out of their mouths. So I hope this helps out anybody who's encountering the original lyrics and wondering what the heck are these guys singing about.